So once you fully understand your target, you craft that messaging that really resonates with them, now it's time to deliver it. And I think many of us agree that email marketing is the best or one of the best ways to do this, but there are definitely some important things you want to take into account before you just go spraying emails all over the place. You want to make sure that you have a correct email address for everybody that you're reaching out to, all of your clients and prospects, and you want to do your best to deliver that at the right time, which we'll speak about in a few moments. So just in terms of finding the right person, as I said, email is a really effective channel for delivering your messaging. And here's just a quick look at why you need a clean or a good, as we'll say later, email address for every lead you collect, every one of those targets that Jeff was talking about, who you've analyzed their behavior and your demographics, you've crafted the messaging for them. Yeah, you need a valid email address to deliver this messaging. And you need one for everybody in your database. I think it goes without saying that most leads aren't ready to buy right away, that they need to be walked through their customer journey, they need to be educated, they need to learn why they can't live without you and your offering. And again, email is the way to make that happen, to link together that education piece. People hate to be called by salespeople. I know I do. I have my phone on mute most of the day, and I know the salespeople here love warm leads, but they hate calling people who are unresponsive. So again, just another reason why email is a great channel for this communication, and you can't really do that unless you have a valid email address for everybody in your database. So here at Fresh Address, we use the term good email address all the time, clean email address all the time. And a couple of years ago at a conference, somebody said to us, well, what the heck is a good email address? You keep on saying this, just assuming that we know what you're talking about. So we put together this kind of high-level breakdown of what a good email address looks like. So the three parts are: it needs to be deliverable, it needs to be accurate, and it needs to be primary. So the first one is really simple. It's just, it doesn't bounce, right? The email address connects to an inbox, and that's kind of all we say here. It's just the first layer. The second layer is, again, it's accuracy. That means it actually identifies your customer or prospect. So that person, that truck driver that you identified, that you crafted the messaging towards, you want to make sure that you have Joe Truck Driver's email address, right? So it's not only deliverable, it not only reaches an inbox, it reaches the correct inbox. So it hits your intended target. It's not a bad email address. It's not a typo. It's not a bogus address. It's not a role account like a admin ad or a sales ad. It's not a spam trap address. It connects to the truck driver that you're trying to reach. The third level is it needs to be you want it to be their primary account. So it's not a junk email account. It's the one that this person checks. It's their current preferred address. So you want your people to trust you enough to give them their preferred email address, the one that they're looking at on their phone every 20 minutes or every 30 seconds, like some people I know. It's not their assistant's email address. It's the one that they're checking. It's the place that you want to go with your offers, with your discounts, with any of your messaging. And one statistic that we found recently is that, obviously it's the best way to make sure your message gets read. We've seen statistics that folks are like 14 or so times more likely to open an email on their primary account versus their second or third or any other email account. So this is just a quick high-level rundown of a good email address. And on the flip side, if we're going to talk about good email addresses, we need to talk about what a bad address looks like. And we broadly break these down into two categories. The first is the undeliverable and invalid email addresses. And, we're talking about bounces here. These don't make the cut at step one on the slide before. They don't hit an inbox. They're useless. Your ESP is going to filter some of these out. They create a whole host of problems that we'll talk about in a moment. But the second box is even more worrisome. This is what here at Fresh Address we refer to as deliverable but problematic. So you have the bogus addresses people are signing up for, like I mentioned a moment ago, the role-based addresses, so the sales at, marketing at, info at, email addresses that don't correspond to your intended target. they might be on a distribution list, but they're also getting delivered to multiple other folks within their organization who didn't ask for your email communication. It's not going to resonate with them. They're probably going to report you as spam, going to create a whole bunch of problems. You have frequent spam complainers. Again, someone who might sign up for a list, but they have a proven history of reporting things to spam. You don't really want to mess around with that. We have spam trap addresses, which we'll talk about further in a little while. These nasty things can shut down your whole email program. This time of year, that sounds awful. Any time of year, it's not good. And basically, whether you realize it or not, there's a price tag attached to every email address in your database. And as a marketer, your success really depends on how well you manage the quality of those addresses. It can definitely make or break your business. And once you get these bad addresses on your list, whether it's a bouncing email address that might seem somewhat harmless, whether it's a spam trap, frequent complainer, they cost you money in a number of ways. They're going to mess up your campaign metrics for sure. That's going to make it harder for you to reach the inbox. So some of those non-bouncing emails are going to run into trouble with your ESP. It's just going to bring down your deliverability metrics. You're going to waste money deploying to these bad addresses. Folks who are inactive, the bouncing email addresses, you're spending, whether it's a penny or a fraction of a penny or whatever it is, emailing to folks that are never going to get your message. It's just a waste of money. They can get you in trouble with your customers. Again, like I said, if you send to the wrong one, like a spam trap, they're going to grind your program to a screeching halt. You could get blocked, blacklisted. It could take months to rebound from that. It's just nobody wants that. And I'm going to talk now about a couple ways you can increase your odds of delivering the right message to the right person and circumventing some of those negative circumstances. And the first one is just to not take shortcuts. And here's just a quick look at what not to do. The first one seems really simple, but marketers get it wrong all the time. It's just don't cut corners. Don't buy lists. Don't harvest email addresses. Don't go online or send your assistant to find and keystroke addresses from someone's contact us page. It's not a good idea. And why it's not a good idea? These people never signed up for your list. You have no permission to email them. Quite simply, they don't want to hear from you. It could also break some laws. It could get you in trouble with your ESP. Your file will definitely contain spam traps if you keep it up to a certain extent. And again, nothing good comes from it. Your campaign performance is going to suffer. People are going to get angry. They're definitely going to report you as spam. You could be exposed to lawsuits, like I said. It's just nothing good comes of it. And if you're doing this for marketing, from a marketing standpoint, it's never going to end well. We see folks come to us all the time for list cleaning and help getting out of trouble that they got in because they were doing some of the stuff that they shouldn't have.